Well, hello everybody, and thanks for joining this Visual FoxPro Database Migration Tech Talk. This is episode 3. It's the last of our database migration discussions. I am Joe Raffinelli. I am a Director of Technical Solutions here at Microsoft. At Microsoft, we have customized software development that specializes in migrating old technologies to new platforms. I'm super excited to reintroduce Imran Salahuddin. He is our VP of Migration Services. He's going to be discussing best practices for VFP database migration projects, in order to be successful. Imran, thank you again for joining these sessions. Really appreciate it.
Hello, everyone. In previous episodes, I have discussed all aspects of VFP database migration. Today, I want to discuss the automated tools that we use in database migration and doing the full VFP application migrations.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so as normal, we try and figure out questions to ask, that we normally get. So in past sessions, you actually mentioned, planning is obviously the key for any database migration. So maybe you can explain to the audience, like if somebody doesn't know anything about planning or analyzing a database, doesn't have the expertise, how does one start?
Like any other database, basic understanding is required for VFP database as well. You should know how to open a VFP database, what are DBC and what are DBFs, and explore these tables and the structures and records and the field types and etc. There can be a case where you just don't have the VFP software to open and explore the tables. Microsoft has a tool, DB Analyzer, that this tool does this job for you. You locate the database and it generates a report that provides the required details. Let's watch a demo of DB Analyzer tool.
Microsoft's DFB Analyzer utility enables users to analyze Visual FoxPro, VFP, databases, and free tables. It generates various reports to help document database and development migration strategy. The tool also has the capability to migrate the data into a CSV file. First, locate the folder that has the VFP database or free tables and validate the folder. DB Analyzer will load the DBC or DBFs from the folder and show it in an easy-to-view mode. Click on the database file name or table or field to see its details such as DBC details, table details, field details, indexes associated, and relationships with other tables. Free tables that are DBFs can also be analyzed. The tool can browse the data in the table as well. Using the tool, you can export all different types of file details to Excel, database, or table details with fields, indexes, triggers, and relationship details. This tool can also export into CSV files. Check out Microsoft's full data Morph for a full comprehensive Visual FoxPro data migration. Select the tables to export and DB Analyzer will export the data into CSV files for your machine. Thank you.
That tool looks amazing. It looks like if you don't know what you're doing, that's a great way to start. So I appreciate you showing that. So another question that comes up quite often, with our, prospective clients or even clients is, the confidential data, they typically don't share, that data. So how do we handle this? How does Microsoft handle that situation when confidential data is not being shared?
This is a very important aspect of VFP database migration, or I would say any migrations, right? Database can have confidential data like social security number or PII, the personal identification information. There can be no issues if client's own development team is working on the project, but when it comes to giving data outside of the organization to service provider like Microsoft, there is a concern. Microsoft advises clients to anonymize the confidential data before sharing the database with us. Since there is no tool available for VFP database anonymization, people usually migrate data to SQL Server database, anonymize it, and then import back in VFP to work with or give it to the service provider like us. It's a very long process. Since there's no tool available, so Microsoft has developed its own tool. We call it Data Shield that anonymizes the data right in the VFP database. Let me show you some images of Data Shield. Um, this is the main UI of the tool. It's very simple. It comes in three different flavors. The one I'm showing you follows the swap characters method, in which it the user can define which character to be served with what character. You can define the complete set and it will swap it. The other versions comes with the encryption, which follows any encryption logic, and another one comes with it simply replaces the data with some sample data that is bought from a third party provider. The one that I'm showing you, it simply swap the characters, and this key is defined by the client themselves. It's not Microsoft's client themselves that they are defining. So even if Microsoft want, they cannot revert the data back. um, it's very simple. You can simply define what the location of the dbf file is, what fields to anonymize, and what is the character map swap. And then you simply click the process, and it anonymizes the data. It's very fast when it's working with the dbf tables. It's just a matter of seconds. Of course, it's based on the data, but it usually is very fast. um, Now I'm showing you a sample anonymized data. You can see at the back, this is the original table with the data that was in before anonymization, and this is, you can see, it's after anonymization. Client feel it's comfortable sharing this kind of data with us, even if it's a sample data, but they feel it good with us. Um, uh, in real life, it's not that everyone is running this UI for multiple tables every day. So this tool, Data Shield, comes in a console application as well, that you can put it in a batch file and run with use of a scheduler. So right now you are seeing a sample of it. This is a view of a batch file, the sample, and that batch file can be executed through a scheduler. So our clients basically run this tool multiple times, at least one time in 24 hours, and or whatever the requirement is. But it's very convenient to run this tool through the batch file in the console as well.
I like the fact that thank you for sharing that. And I like the fact that, we were flexible enough to actually build our own tool, because I know you had said that there was no tool like that. So that's very important for our clients and anybody that's listening. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Joe, let me add one more thing here.
Sure.
Tool Data Shield that I discussed is specifically for the VFP, but we Microsoft do have another tool, Infomorph, that is used to anonymize data in SQL Server and the text base. I'm showing the image of this tool. So this tool we use for the other databases like SQL Server and uh, the text-based database. Okay.
Okay. Very good. Thank you again. So that makes sense. Data Shield is definitely needed if you're going to want confidential information to stay confidential. So that's super important to our clients, like I had mentioned. So thank you again for sharing. So the other questions that come up is, about migrating the data. So the clients often ask me, is there any like magic tool, that actually migrates the database? And if yes, and I know we have a tool for it, but it'd be great if you can actually, show a demo of the tool. And then usually when you see something, you can, kind of spurse questions and you can kind of get an idea about how Microsoft migrates data automatically.
As said, there is no single magical button, but we do have a tool that makes data migration from VFP to modern databases very easy. In previous episodes, I discussed in detail why planning is required and what exactly to be planned. In VFP, database is required to be migrated once only or a couple of times, like moving to UAT or production. Then we can use the data morph and we can plan how and when it is used. Data morph can migrate the VFP, DBC, or DBFs to SQL Server database, Postgres, MySQL, or MongoDB. You just have to define the data source and target database, and it will do the job. You can save the project as well and run again whenever it's required. Let's watch a demo of data morph.
Welcome to Macrosoft's suite of migration utilities. This video covers data morph. Critical to any migration is the transfer of years of historical data across potentially hundreds of tables. The data morph utility not only transfers the data and free tables from the legacy to the target, it actually creates the table's primary fields and any other required information to ensure the new application works properly without any new code written by the developer. The first step after opening data morph is to name the export file. The user is then asked if they want to include detailed records from the legacy FoxPro database. Next, browse to select the database source location. As you hit Validate Path, you'll see both the database and free tables identified on the screen. And validate the tables to ensure there are no errors in the FoxPro application. Next, users select the SQL Server. Importantly, data morph is configured to allow authentication via either SQL Server or Windows. Selecting the data type mapping allows the mapping of the FoxPro to the SQL Server. Now you're ready to select the SQL Server database and click Upload Data. Sit back and watch as the progress bar as the data is migrated. This can take several minutes based on the dataset size. Once complete, users receive a process log listing the counts of FoxPro tables, number of records exported, and any records that experienced errors. Data morph provides details on each record error, including error messages and corresponding SQL session query. The utility then enables users to quickly edit the errors directly within the query on the screen provided. After migration, both an export and time log are provided. As you just saw, data morph saves significant amounts of time and ensures complete, accurate data transfer. Data morph is one of the utilities in our suite of proprietary modernization tools. Thank you.
Imran, that's definitely one of my favorite demos that Microsoft has. Thank you so much for showing it. So I love the simplicity and I love the speed of it. And I'm sure folks, when they go on our website, they would probably review that again. So if folks are on the line, I would suggest you do that if you'd like to see that again. So again, thanks for sharing. So my last question is, sometimes our clients or prospective clients ask to mirror their DB, their VFP database to their SQL database for a parallel run. So typically this is like just for a short period of time. How does Microsoft handle this situation?
Joe, we call this a phased migration approach. This is required by clients with a large VFP application. Sometimes clients cannot wait for the whole migration to be done and completed and then go to the market or their clients. So in this approach, client define MVP, a minimum viable product that comprise of some modules from the complete application. Client want MVP to go in production while dev team is still migrating the remaining modules. This require to migrate VFP tables belong to the MVP modules. This usually requires to sync data between VFP and SQL Server database so that the whole complete legacy application and the MVP modules should work without any issues. We use our tool Data Sync in these cases. The tool provides basic engine to replicate the data between VFP and SQL Server database. The tool works based on project specific requirements, not a general tool, but it provides an the engine that defines it. This is very simple UI of the dbsync sync tool. Right now, the tool that you are seeing, it's syncing the data between the VFP database and the SQL Server database. Um, if I put everything in the picture, it's like this is our VFP legacy VFP application, which is using its own VFP database. And you can see at the left side there's a new migrated modern application, some MVP modules, and it's using the SQL Server database. And this data sync tool is sitting in between, listening any changes in the data in VFP database or in SQL Server database and syncing in between. So that's how we implement this phase-wise approach so that MVP will work in production and without disturbing the VFP main application, which is legacy, and remaining modules are still in the legacy.
Perfect, Imran. I like that we're similar to Data Shield, where we're flexible in creating the tool. We did the same, for this tool as well. So it's nice to know that that's available for folks to use. Data sync is very important to clients, and I'm glad we had a solution for it, I guess is what my point is. Okay, so Imran, thanks again for everything that you've done. You've done 3 sessions. We've had our questions that we put forth in terms of what I typically get, and then we had audience questions via the chat. So I want to take this opportunity to see if anybody else that's on this call has any questions, and go ahead and put those on the chat, and we'll wait, for them to show up. Like I said on the chat. Thank you. Okay, we got our first question. So, are these tools available for free? Is the first question.
DB Analyzer that analyzes VFP database is free. We'll post a link in the comment section so that you can go and download this one and analyze your VFP database. Data Morph is licensed tool. Anyone can download the evaluation version, which comes with some limitations. Data Shield, Infomorph, and Data Sync tools are used by the Mac teams only.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, we'll see if there's any other questions. Okay, second questions. What are other tools for VFP database migration?
If we talk about migration of VFP database to SQL Server, which is usually the most common migrations, there are some tools available. Microsoft SSMA SQL Server Migration Assistant can be used for this migration. There are some commercial tools also available in the market that are licensed. You can do the migration using SQL Server Integration Services, SSIS. So these are the tools available.
Okay, thank you. Any others, folks? Okay, our third question. Okay, it talks about data sync. So is the data sync real time or a batch process?
It depends on migration plan. It can be real time or batch. The tool I showed you with the sample case, it synchronizes the data real time.
Okay, perfect. All right, folks. Any other questions? All right, we'll give folks a few more seconds here, and we'll continue. Okay, waiting on a few more. Okay. there are no more questions. I want to thank everyone for joining. Well, first I want to thank Imran, and I want to thank everybody for joining these migration sessions. Again, there was the last of the three, and we went through a lot, so appreciate that. So if anyone has additional questions that maybe you think of later, you can certainly contact me. My contact information should come up in a little bit. If you would like us to, you know, look at the size of your application, give you a code for a migration or any other migration service related questions, please reach out to me. That's what that's my job to make sure you guys get all your answers. So at this point, we're done with these three sessions for for the data migration. Our next session is going to be on VB6. We have an exciting tool that we want to show everybody, and we're going to show the tool, then we're going to show the benefits, and we'll get some questions around that. So for now, thanks everybody again for joining, and take care, and bye bye now.